Good evening, everybody. I think I might need to make that music a little bit more upbeat. I think it's kind of chill, which I'm okay with, but I think it doesn't. We need to have a little more energy going into this thing. Otherwise, it's like I'm gonna take a nap now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, that's a lazy. It's like the kind of music you listen to going to bed or something like that. Now that's I need to change that. Anyway, how you doing, babe?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good,
So
good.
once again, it's just you and me flying solo. Well, that's not solo, just you and me tonight. Adam is away. We talked to him today, seeing if he's going to hop on here, but he's got some personal projects he's working on right now. So,
Cool.
which, yeah, making making life changes now. I mean, he's just working on some stuff for himself and stuff like that. So it's all good. He's doing good. I'm sure he'll hop in here maybe next time. Since basically, real quick before we get into it, you posed a question to you guys, you and Babe and Adam, about topics we want to do, and so they both gave different topics. Tonight we're doing Babes, and then so hopefully Adam will be in here on the topic
Yeah.
he chose here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, what's new in Babes Land?
Oh, all kinds of things. If anyone can help me find, I'm trying to find prints or posters, scientific type posters with, I don't care, scuba tables, hyperbaric recompression tables, table 5, table 6, however you want to say it. But the more I've looked, the more it's like I'm probably going to have it made if I want to get it, because
Really?
I'd like that'd be really cool to hang in my office.
Huh?
Well, yeah, because I was going to put the poster you got me
Yeah.
and framed, put that because I just got issued in office, so once
Nice.
again I have my own space. Yeah, so cool and all, but I was like, well, I think I sent you a picture of the big bare wall, which all the walls look like that. So I was like, so if anyone can help me, if anyone has a link or something, otherwise, I mean, there's plenty on Etsy and just online in general, places that will make them for you. You
Yeah.
just shoot them what you want on it. But it's like I thought there would be like some kind of pre-made poster, and I don't want it to look, too kindergartenish.
Sure.
Maybe look a little bit grown up.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. I wonder if like any of the dive museums or anything like that might have something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a good place for me to look then. Good idea.
Well, in afterwards, I'll chop this and make this a short just for your plead. There, we can push that out
All
there,
right.
and hopefully somebody out there will see this, and we can get you some help here. So, community, and all you divers out there, anybody out there that's we know there's people out there who have contacts and know where this stuff's at. So, help Babe out. But,
Yeah, that's the closest things I found was like old patent type looking schematics of dive equipment or submarines, stuff
yeah,
like that. But and that's all right if it's done right. But I don't want to. I'm not spending a fortune on it. I
right.
just thought it'd be cool because medical field. I can't even find a poster with just the gas laws.
Yeah,
And it's like, it's the gas laws. Why wouldn't
right.
there be? But okay, whatever. I'll figure it.
Talking about medical field, maybe jog my memory. I was talking to a friend about a week or so ago, and we were talking about diabetes and talking about that stuff like what. And I brought up the whole idea of hyperbaric medicine and stuff like that. And he's in the medical field. He's a nurse, and because he was talking about neuropathy and all that kind of stuff that. I said, well, I know there's, but it's like he's almost like ignorant of the whole idea of the hyperbaric medicine and stuff along those lines. So yeah, it's one of those things where even though it's been around for what? How long has hyperbaric medicine been around for? It's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, it has.
And it's still. I guess we could go down a whole entire tinfoil hat thing here of medicine and stuff along those lines. But it's one of those things where if there's these medical breakthroughs or these medical things that can happen with hyperbaric, why is it not being used more than it is for? Well, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. We're going to be here just talking about that for a while. But for the podcast listeners, Babe just messaged the whole money. He set the money symbol there. Um, but yeah, no, yes, that's a topic for another day. That's
Yep.
for our conspiracy theory channel type of thing. But no, yeah, but yeah, um, that with a lot different stuff is the not, I don't want to say ignorance, but I guess to a level it is. It's the ignorance that this exists, or that the power that it has, for as simple as it is too.
Yeah. And there are, I mean, for what they're already using it for those persons with, cellulitis and wounds from that won't
Yeah,
heal because of diabetic issues. So it's already being used. That's why it kind of surprises me he's that not or ignorant. That doesn't know that much of it.
yeah. I mean, he's new. He's only been, he just graduated about a year ago and stuff like that. So
Oh, okay, all right.
he's still fairly new to it. But who knows? Anyway, I digress. We're getting on another tangent here, something completely different, which is okay, which is all right. But so tonight we're talking about your idea. Which, do you want to describe it?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right. The title I sent you was "What's in Your Everyday Toolbox," and by that I meant when get living underwater with the technologies we have. What's going to be in your everyday toolbox living underwater? And by that I mean one of ASC's habitats where you're one atmosphere. So one atmosphere, you're not coming and going into the water. Otherwise, you're going to be saturated at whatever depth you're at. And that's going to mean watching whether you need decompression tables or not. So using one atmosphere, what's your everyday? What is your toolbox?
Okay. Before we get into that, we got Brian in here. How's it
Hey,
going, Brian,
Brian.
man? Glad you're able to hop in here and join us tonight. Feel free to ask questions or interject at any point in time, but appreciate you being here, man. So I think that the groundwork has to be good, because, I mean, that's still a very vague question. And
Yep.
because, I mean, you go down, what level is your underwater habitat at? How advanced is it? Are we looking at, say you go stay at Jules right now, and you is that your underwater habitat, or do you have like your ideal, 20 years down the line, ideal underwater habitat? Is like, where are you at? Because that's going to completely change, I think, the conversation. So did you have an idea when you posed that question, what we're going to be at?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
If ASC dropped a habitat in the water right now with today's technology, what at one atmosphere?
Uh-huh.
I don't really care the depth. We'll say right there beside Aquarius, just to have a neighbor.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I think Aquarius 66 feet or something like that.
Yep.
So, what's your toolbox? What is it? What's something goes wrong? How do you know? What do you do to fix it? Oh, here's the thumb thing again.
Yeah.
I forgot it does that. I'm gonna keep my thumbs.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It's such a, because on one hand I want to say, well, you wouldn't need much, because when we do it right, and like the final version that goes out there and stuff like that, it's going to be redundancies and pretty self-sufficient. You're going to have so much robotics and stuff like that taking care of cleaning it and stuff along those lines. You're not going to have to worry much about that. So you shouldn't have to have much in your toolbox, hopefully.
Right. That's what I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, but at the same time, if you're talking about, all right, we're dropping tomorrow, what toolbox is going to be in it right now at the very beginning, you're going to have a whole lot more in there. I mean, you're going to have everything, even down to duct tape in there, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a whole. So let's talk about right now on we're talking about ASC, but similar to to Jules type of thing, or Aquarius even though they're vastly different habitats, basically the same stuff's going on. I would say you need the basics, a full set of tools. Um, you would probably want, you're going to have it anyway, but you would want spare tanks and stuff like that. I mean, how big is your toolbox? Is this just like a hypothetical toolbox? Is it just a?
Yes, because I'm using it as a range from, because my thought is it's everything. If you're going with Aquarius and Jules, then yeah, you're going to need a lot more. You're going to need air tanks and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, if you're sitting at one atmosphere, now if you're sitting beside Aquarius, you're just going to have to figure out your decompression.
Yeah.
Okay. That's assuming you have an airlock to do it.
Sure. Which I think
I'm going to assume you do.
Yes, you would.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're going to be at that depth, you're going to have some sort of an airlock there.
So my thing is, with all the technology that we have today that those places do not have.
Yeah. I think that once again, when done right, and it's not a prototype stage and it's like a final version type of thing, I think you would need very little of any sort of a toolbox in there. Yeah. I think there'll be the quality of the build and the redundancy of the systems. There's always going to be something that can go wrong. I'm trying to run through the scenarios here of what could go wrong, that to the extent where you would be able to fix it would be the other thing too. Because if it's such a catastrophic issue, no toolbox you're going to have is going to be above your pay grade per se.
Right. So
it's a good question. I didn't put much thought into it when you told me it. I read it like, all right, that sounds like a good conversation. But now that we're actually here, I'm actually thinking about it.
Okay, let me throw a different wrench at you.
Okay.
Because you're living inside of it.
Yeah.
Your toilet starts leaking. So you got to have some basic tools.
Yeah. So
assuming yeah. So your sink starts leaking, whatever.
Unless everything is 3D printed, where there is no possibility of leak because it's all one big thing.
True.
And if you're really able to eliminate, and I think of this, we take when the ocean and anything we do in the ocean, we look at what space is doing in NASA and all those different organizations. And SpaceX just showed off their newest engines. It's a 3rd generation engine, and they have taken so much out of the engine. It doesn't even look real now because they 3D printed so much. So there's not any.
Wow.
Yeah, if you see pictures of it, I think it was one of the other space companies said, SpaceX, you're doing so well already. Why do you need to show a partially put together engine to prove anything to us? And then it wasn't. It was fully put together. It's just they have taken there's no wires on it anymore. And yeah, another space company thought it wasn't a completed engine because they've 3D printed so much of the engine now that there are no valves and flanges and stuff like that on there. It's multiple pieces. So if you did the same thing to eliminate as many valves and flanges and stuff, any potential leaks.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 3D, I don't know. Once again, that's thinking pretty far down the road. So yes, we'll take.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, specialized parts, but I don't know, man. Oh, again, if you've got a 3D printer and you're 3D printing a lot of this, why wouldn't you? You're going to want to eliminate. It's a cost thing too. If you can print the whole thing. Again, it would go back to, at that point in time, any issues that arose would be beyond your ability to fix.
Yeah.
So they would have to either be brought to the surface or have, underwater, welders or whomever or whatever the problem is come down and fix it there on site.
I've said that all along. Like, it is going to change the dynamic of at least one part of a commercial diver's world because it's going to add in a niche.
Yeah.
What do you do? work on the houses.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
over at such and such neighborhood,
Yeah,
fixing their roof or whatever you want to say.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because one of the things that it's a little sidetracked right here, but one of the ideas that we've talked about, I don't know if we've talked, you know, on air on all this about before, but in the business plan for ASC, one of the things that is addressed in there is different type of revenue streams further out as we mature and we actually have product out there and stuff along those lines. Is splitting off into almost like a not necessarily like an insurance, but you have like a reoccurring reoccurring monthly money coming in from a service agreement where, hey, for X amount of dollars, you know, you've got a diver going out there and hitting all these different
Yeah.
locations, checking the filters and checking all that kind of stuff. Which a lot of it's done inside, but a lot of it's going to be done outside too, because you're going to have, you know, where's your gases being expelled from? You know, is all good? You know, are you clean on the outside? Is there any rust issues? It's stuff like that, depending on what you build it out of. So, you know, from a business standpoint, obviously it makes more sense because it's more money that you can conjure. But at the same time, it's a whole other industry where you're going to have divers, and I think it's going to be a very sought after job too for the divers too, because it's going to be relatively easy for the most part. It's going to be very same thing over and over, which some people may want more of a challenge, and I get that. But I think that a lot of people, it's going to be a job security thing where, hey, you've got 50 underwater habitats you got to address this month, and it's just constantly every month going out there and checking all this stuff. It's going to take you all month to get through them, type of thing. And again, that's down the road a little bit, but it's definitely something that's going to happen. And as those habitats get larger and larger, it's going to become more complex, and it's going to be more of an issue. Which then goes back to your initial question here, as far as what's in your toolbox, and yeah. See, Brian's got some here thrown in here. Let's see. It's like Brian's like, if you build it out of a specific mural, you will not have to fix it. That is what the submersible employed recently. Yeah, 100%. Let's go bring this back here. Yeah, so you know, we definitely, unfortunately, we can take tips from accidents and catastrophes like this too, where they use carbon fiber, and they say that might be a lot of the problem is the pressures, reapplied pressures to that carbon fiber hull that had never been properly tested and stuff like that. This carbon fiber may not be the best for pressure over and over again, because it only takes carbon fiber, the way I understand it, only takes it in one direction. Like the strength only comes in one direction. And the reason I know this is, again, looking at space, I saw a recent interview with Jeff Bezos talking about the nose on their New Glenn rocket, which is a New Glenn. It's all carbon fiber, but to address the pressure issues, they've got like tapes of carbon fiber, and they're just taping in every single direction. It's good. So it's strength all across the, and just over layer and layer and layer and layer. So it's multiple layers of this carbon fiber tape in just every direction, crisscrossing, so that the strength is all across the thing. And same thing with the Titan sub. Would that have fixed that issue? And who knows? I mean, that's for people who are a lot smarter than me. But that's also why steel is still the standard for all this stuff, because it is tried and true, and we know what's in there. You know, a lot of people have talked about different kinds of concrete for underwater habitats as a potential. I'm still leery on that for those same reasons that, you know, the carbon fiber issue. But there's been a bunch of advances in that area too. So to Brian's point, yeah, if you build it out of, you know, the correct material, like we're talking about, there shouldn't be any kind of repair, especially on the external basis. But I think then the question all comes back to your question comes back to the internal aspects of it. And again, I don't know. What'd you come up with?
Oh,
Since you got all the answers over here.
Yeah. I told you earlier, we have so much technology now that is not in these systems,
Yeah.
in the existing habitats.
Yep.
there, those redundant systems that would be built into one are going to include. I mean, I know I've talked to you about it before. You have an iPad and you're sitting there, looking at everything. There's an alert, and what's the alert? A pressure low here. Well, why is the pressure low in that line or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And and it's come now. The technology's there and it's reliable enough now that you really don't need a analog.
Yeah.
You could go with an analog as a backup maybe, but again,
Yeah. And I see that, too. It's like you look at it, you go into it's like, I keep on going back to Jules or question and things, but you go in there and it's like a whole wall of valves and pressure gauges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They have to be, why?
Yeah.
I mean, I get why, but if you're not building something that it's sitting at 200 feet underwater and so on, and even if you were, I mean, I still think that like you say, with today's technology, why do you need it? Again, going back to space, the difference, SpaceX's capsule they send men to the space station in, it's just LED screens now, which is all touchpad. And everybody's like, oh, well, there's no redundancy and stuff like that. It's like they've launched 13 times with people and they've never had an issue. Not saying they won't have an issue and there's not an issue there, but they've got so much technology in there. It can fly itself. It can dock itself. It can do everything it needs to by itself. I think that sometimes people get too stuck in the old ways and think that, hey, it has to happen this way because it's always worked that way. It's the safest way. But technology changes things.
Yeah.
And like you're saying here, I think the same thing I see, and I know we've talked about it before, is you've got an LED pad on your wall there in your habitat that you click through different screens to see what you want, what's your O2 levels, what's your depth, what's your PSI is, all this kind of stuff right there. And you can adjust it from right there if you had to as well. And or even an app. I mean, ocean builders, they're working on an app for all their stuff. So you got an app on your phone and stuff on those lines. Obviously, they're not underwater, but it's the same elements apply. It's the technology is there. It's just, and technology is sexy and it draws people in if you got cool tech and stuff like that. And that might be one of the things that definitely is a draw for ASC, is if we can get that tech in these habitats. And it's like, holy cow, that's cool. Because tech people are going to be drawn to it.
Yes. A good example in my case is what I've talked about before. This with the sensor unit, on my first stage regulator. I never thought I could lose the analog gauge, but here I am doing it,
Yeah. Now, that's, I don't know how long that tech's been out, but that's one that, I mean, sure, if you want to put your sci-fi brain on, you can see it coming, but it's here sooner than I would have thought it would have been if you had told me that type of thing. And I think there's so many different things out there for somebody that enjoys technology and likes thinking about the future and stuff like that. There's so many things that are coming out that is like, that just is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
It's changing at such a rapid rate and it's growing at such a fast pace that, and like we talked about before, even with the diving industry, that's an area that may be in danger with robots and AI too. Yeah. I mean, you look at it, but if you've got a Tesla Optimus robot, it can do everything. One day that's a goal, at least, to go out and fix your stuff, and you don't have to worry about insurance on life insurance or anything like that, or all this other stuff. And if it breaks, you get a new one. So
that was one of my points. That and because I was going to look at Tesla and look at Boston Dynamics. If you haven't looked at the robots they got now, you should do that if you like that, because it will blow your mind with.
And there's a couple other companies out there that have been showing off some really cool robots they're coming out with. There's a bunch that are starting to come out now that Elon has shown. Hey, well, Boston Dynamics started first, even though it wasn't as cool. They had programmed to do flips and all that kind of stuff and parkour stuff. But then when Elon, once again, anything Elon puts out there, then everybody starts copying pretty much. And so now there's all these companies coming out there showing off stuff. And it's going to be very interesting next 5 years from that
Yeah.
standpoint alone. But once again, it's going to be a huge disruption in the industry, in all the industries. And unfortunately, even though this, we would like to think that the diving industry would need it, they may get replaced too eventually by this too. So I don't know.
Yeah, in some ways, especially at some depths, it's already a thing to send an ROV
Yeah.
because they've got working ROVs that will do certain things where they won't put divers now if they can help it.
So there's my answer. What do you need in your toolbox as a Tesla Optimus?
Yeah.
I mean, if you got one on site and go fix this, it's going to have.
I want the Tesla Cyber Sub.
Yeah, there you go. But so yeah, I mean, technically, it should be able to fix most things. Yeah.
Really, when it comes to the toolbox, you might need some absolutely basic tools for something you bring into your own house to fix a piece of furniture.
Yeah, it'd be anything external as far as structural or have to have. No, it'd be more for stuff that the end user brings into their place that may need the toolbox for. So if you're a minimalist, you may not need nothing. So yeah, that's an interesting idea because, like I say again, when I first saw this topic, I was like, okay, how big of a toolbox am I going to need for all this stuff? But now, because once again, I was thinking about it like immediately, like right now, yeah, I need quite a bit in there. But if we're looking at it down the road, yep, you're right. Technology is going to definitely change a lot of stuff here.
And you think how many people don't care about a set of gauges?
Yeah.
I mean, they might have the ability to see it or have it, but they don't care. They're not going to look at it. Right. That's okay, because just like my HVAC system here, the people that installed it, they can do a drive-by check of it, and it pings their stuff and says whether it's working or not.
Yep.
So they know what the service on it.
And like I say, even the gauges and stuff, even if you had to have an analog backup, you could have it behind a panel.
Yeah.
With as the backup with the LED stick, your main and everything else hidden. So once again, from a standard point, you wouldn't have to see anything. Which not opposed to that, but is it necessary?
Right. That's just it. Because the old part of me wants to say, yeah, but you look at all the technology, hello.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eliminate as much as you can to get stripped down so there is no issues where there's nothing needs to get fixed for the most part. And like I say, I think that's where we're moving as far as in industry, as far as construction and stuff too, is eliminating as much as possible. No part is the best part, I guess, is what they say. So
that I didn't realize that about that engine you were talking.
Yeah, I'll send you a link after.
To wait that they've just changed is
100%. And it's a whole lot more.
First thing I thought, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. I don't know if I can find the image here or not, but yeah, it's one of those. Sorry for the trying to see. Yeah, here it is. Let me. Open image in a new tab.
I keep thinking that, I'm mad now because I can't think of it. I thought of it earlier. It's the electro testing to test for stress cracks in metal.
Mm-hmm.
A robot or a built-in system to do that. Could with technology, that Lord, who knows that what would be possible.
Yeah, let me share my screen here. So you got the first version, the second version.
Wow.
How they stripped down. This is all the wiring. This is incredible, and then there's like nothing now because all these flanges are gone because they 3D printed most of these pipes and stuff. And that's just version 3. Who knows what they're going to be able to still eliminate more? So yeah, and that's what we're talking about is what Elon said. He goes, if something goes wrong, we have to like, cut one of these open and repair it. But and then also it's more thrust than this one has too. So they've improved even on the what it is, and so that's why I think I like Elon's way of manufacturing, because the iteration off of each one is so fast, and he's so much trial and error, and just like do it, and cut out stuff. And if it works, it doesn't. If it does, it doesn't. And so that's basically what they've done is they've cut out all this nonsense that has been, once again, for 60 years. You had to have that, and now all of a sudden, nope, you don't have to have that. So
yeah, it'll get so it's not even cut it open to fix it. It's just a quick connect.
Yeah.
Pop it off and pop a new one in.
Yep. And so then you take that same thing and you take it to what we're talking about here. And what we talked in a previous episode is that 3D printed submarines that have already been done. The Navy 3D printed that submarine. I don't know what they printed it out of though. It may have been a carbon or a steel or something along those lines, but I don't remember. I think it's more to prove they could do it than actually it was functionality and stuff like that. But do you do that with underwater habitats? Do you 3D steel print and deep? That's what they're doing. They're 3D printing their habitats and stuff like that. So that's the plan at least. And to Brian's concern, his question here too is they're working with organizations that certify this stuff to that's something they said when I saw them in Florida, was that to make sure that the 3D printing structurally is sound for what they're trying to do, and therefore is certified, so they don't run into issues like Titan did, and they've got the certifications behind it that say this is strong enough and resilient enough to do what you're trying to do over and over again, so there won't be the failures that there is. So again, you've got robotics, you've got AI, you've got this tech, you've got 3D printing, all these things that are going to completely change the landscape, not only on land, in space, but also underwater. And how do we benefit from that, and how do we put that in to what we're doing? I think it answers a lot of questions too. It's just it's all so new that the cost is still up there for a lot of this. But once it does come down some more, I think you're going to see a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're able to 3D print an underwater habitat at scale, the cost is down there. I mean, you're going to be able to churn them out and sell them for a very affordable cost too.
Yeah.
So, sorry to kind of go off the topic there a little bit, but it all revolves around the initial question of watching your toolbox, and I think that we've come up to the answer is nothing, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
that's just it.
Yeah. So what's the answer to the question? There is no answer to this question. No,
right.
You took us on a wild goose chase here tonight, babe, for nothing, for the answer for nothing.
Just like what Yoda said, it's what you take with you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think that in the taking with you is that we shouldn't be running from or avoiding this technology that's coming towards us, whether it is 3D printing, whether it is whatever, but we need to understand it and to embrace it, because it's here regardless of whether we like it or not. And as we're seeing with the whole, once again, going back to the space discussion, the Boeing and the SpaceX situation right now. Boeing is a company that's been around forever, or for years, and has spent twice as much money to do the same thing SpaceX has been doing now for quite a while. They started at the same time, and Boeing has a spaceship stuck in space right now, where SpaceX may have to come rescue them.
Yep.
Because SpaceX has embraced this new technology and pushing the envelope, whereas Boeing has rested on this has worked in the past, this is how we do things, and hasn't changed things up. And I think that at the bottom of the day, that really shows a difference of what happens if you try to stick with what has always worked instead of questioning that and embracing what the future is.
Yeah. I've heard time, you know, the term standing on the shoulders of giants. The giants didn't get to be giants by not accepting change. You
Yep.
know, they embraced it and took to it.
And change is hard. Nobody
Yeah,
likes change.
exactly.
Yeah. I hate change. And it's one of those things where that's why I've relied so much on people like Adam and you and stuff on those through this journey of ASC to speak into these ideas and designs and the business model, even stuff like that, because of conversations we've had, or even conversations with people in chat and stuff along those lines. It has definitely redirected some of even the design elements of ASC over the years, if not some of the business plan as well, as to what is the best for moving forward. And had I stuck to what I liked and what I thought was best, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So just because I could see the large vision of what I wanted to see ASC doing and stuff like that, but getting there, we've been able to fine tune some of that down and figure out what the best route, the best path to making that happen is.
Yep.
So with that being said, did you have anything else to add on to this topic here?
I don't.
Okay. Well, hey, let me throw this one thing out there, completely off subject there, but yesterday was 1 year of podcast shorts that I've been doing every Monday. I put out a short, and yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of me doing one a week, which I honestly, when I started, I think I was going to be able to do that. So I've done one a week now for a year. So I think that was cool. So if you haven't listened to any of those, there are topics all over the place. Some of them are just like, I had no idea what to talk about, so I just threw something out there. Other of them were either hand in hand with the topic we were doing a live stream on. But yeah. And then we had one come out today, which was the interview I did with Arctide, which I haven't talked since then. So Arctide, right?
Yeah. ArcPad,
yeah, sorry. That's what I didn't think it was Arctide. Yeah. ArcPad. Sorry, Ben. Got you messed up there with them if you're listening. Yeah, ArcPad. Mitchell, he had shot me a message, and they were showing some stuff off, and they wanted to know if I would, use our platform and help them show off their new stuff. And so we had a nice little interview about a week ago, I guess it was, and it's like an hour, and we were able to show off some of their designs and stuff they were doing over there in the Philippines. It is, and just in some different ways that you can invest into them and be a part of that growing business, which is really cool. I'm happy for them. It's one of those other companies that we've been friends with and we've talked to since day one, pretty much. I'm glad to see them journeying forward and getting something done there. But yeah, so that interview is on the podcast this morning, or you can find it on any of their stuff as well. That's arcpad.co. Yeah. Anybody got anything out there in the chat land? If not, we'll wrap her up here tonight. So while we're doing that, let me run down some stuff here. If you haven't been, and by now, if you're watching this, I'm sure you have, been to our website, AtlanticSeaColony.com. On there is all the stuff about ASC. You can listen to the most recent podcast on there if you can't find us anywhere, but all of our links are on there too. So all of our different socials on there, links to, podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Also links to our Discord channel, which I got to get the security figured out in the Discord channel because the people are getting the mobs are going to have the pitchforks out with me here before too long if I don't get the security figured out because of all the bots that keep on coming in there and posting nonsense. But anyway, we got a Discord channel where we got dialogues. We got a bunch of different groups in there and active people in there talking about different stuff all the time. So it's a cool place to just like think tank things or talk to like-minded people about all different type of topics, whether it's recent conversation was talking about growing plants underwater, and how that would look. So it's literally a little bit of everything underwater related there, and even not so underwater sometimes. So that's a great place. And once again, the link is on our it's in the notes here to the videos that you're watching right now. Plus, it's going to be on our website as well. The other thing, obviously, is our Patreon, which Babe is a member of that, and so is Brian, who's in here. That we've got Patreon members that help us out. Basically, putting some skin in the game per se to that sees the vision of ASC and to help us get some stuff done. And those members are Brian Acosta, as I said, Matthew Cathy, Martin Reese, who he's been sharing some stuff on Facebook here recently. You have been seeing that. Babe, Adam, and my dad, Ron, who was in here earlier as well, I saw. So all you guys, thank you very much for your continued support on this project. I'm trying very hard to make you proud of me, and that you're happy with what I'm doing. No, but thank you very much. Like I said, in the podcast, if you're on any of your podcast things, it's Colonize the Ocean Podcast. That's the name of it. Check it out. We've got you can go back and listen to interviews we've done in the past. A lot of them weren't even done on YouTube or anything like that. It was way like years ago. We've interviewed some really cool people in the past. Some of them have gone on to have some really cool stuff. So multiple interviews with seasteading people, Dennis Chamberlain with his underwater habitats and so along those lines, just different people. So check that out on top of it. And I think that's about all we got for this evening. So, Babe, thank you again for hopping on here and joining me this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah. And to everybody that's watching this now or later on, thank you very much. We'll be back here probably 2 weeks with another great topic for you. And we will talk to you then. Otherwise, take care. Bye.